Today I'm confronted with an odd feeling because I've had I've had a lack of communication. I'm not going to say necessarily, I don't want to say it's not my fault because, I guess I could have asserted myself in a different way, but I was trying to be involved, and my kids sort of, more or less, they're getting older and they don't want to be bothered, and they don't want to listen to adults saying don't do this because they're drinking and starting to smoke and stuff like that, and they're trying to be all secretive. And I'm not mad about any of that stuff at all. It's not the best for their bodies because they don't balance it out with food and fitness, but at the same time, I'd rather just didn't do it anyway. I'm working my way out of that whole situation myself. Anyway, but today I'm getting my daughter Brianna, and, I could go off on a bunch of different topics. I get done at 10:30 or so, and I told her I get done, early, probably noon at the latest. She said, give me at 1:30, because she wants to sleep in. To me, I'm just, excited to get her, I would just get her right now, and it's fine that she feels that way. And I used to be like, well, I could pick you up 3 hours earlier, why don't you want to come then? But, I used to get that kind of whatever, and at the same time, I'm explaining it, so it seems like I'm getting that way, but I'm not. I'm trying to come at this from two different angles of how I see it and how it really is now. I can walk around on an everyday basis, looking at the sun shining, or the rain falling, or the snow blowing, or the wind ripping through the trees and knocking things over. I can look at all those things and just think of beauty. And it's not like when I say I can do this, it's like this accomplishment. But I have it's just nothing. I see the beauty in everything, put it that way. I don't, I understand stuff like abortions and murder and stuff like that. It's unfortunate for the being who is lost, but people are more worried about abortions than they are murder. And the people that talk about, taking a life, and if you weren't ready to have one, then you shouldn't have had it. Well, the problem is it already happened, so they have to find a way out of it. And they did that because, believe it or not, look at it from another perspective, the being that is the spirit in that baby has karma or something they wanted to learn. When something like that happens, it's actually usually somebody wanting to learn a life lesson. And I know a lot of people are just going to not believe that, but that's really what happens. And they'll see that eventually. Or else they'll just remember it and they'll be like, oh yeah. Because that's what you're doing in life, is you're remembering the stuff that you've done over and over and over and over again. We come here as little ants and little trees and little whatever to see what we can do to get better. So we as people are the lucky ones because we can study the big stuff out in space, for what we call space. We can make this whatever we want it to be. This is our mind creating itself to us. And once we get ourselves on the same page, we can create the world we want. I've seen so many different things about how the Mother Earth and Father Sky, and you just take those two names and you actually think about some of the ways that life has already progressed and ends. It's already ended, but it's in the future from now. But then there's other times that have happened in the past. But the reason that they seem like the future from now to me is because I've seen them already. So it's the future to me. The future is the future to me, but most of the future is the past. If I focus in on somewhere in the future, it stays that way. When I get there, it's still that way. When you go somewhere in the past and you leave something somewhere, you carve your name in a tree and you go back to it in the past, you have the carving in the tree. Years later, you go back to the future, it's still in a tree. I do stuff where it's not symbols like that because I don't want to interfere with stuff from the future. And I don't want to interfere with stuff from the past. The past is already gone, so it's if anyone else were to go back to it, they would be going back to it from another point in time too. So it wouldn't matter. So understands how to communicate that way as the one being that it is, because it had that time to stay still as a tree, and be a tree. With people, we don't take the time to quiet our minds and do that. We go around telling each other that this is this and this is that, and we listen to each other, and that's it. So, but that's one thing. And the other couple things going through my mind today is that whole thing about I walk around on a daily basis knowing that I'm the chosen one, and I'm going about my normal everyday life as a dad, as a guy owning a business, and I'm doing that stuff. And it's not like I'm just an enlightened person who understands it. We shouldn't have to have rules and laws, and we don't have to have that stuff to understand that we shouldn't kill, we should take care of our bodies and take care of nature. That's pretty simple. That's not an enlightened being. Everyone knows that. It's like saying you go green and say you're enlightened. There's something extra about this. This is something I can see futures and pasts, and not just anyone individually, like where the world started from, how we began, how we ended eras, how we did this, and this, but we're going to want names and stuff. Names don't matter. The universe, names don't mean anything. It's just life. You can use it to explain, but then you're just trying to put things into words. Some things don't have words you can use. It's just not possible to explain. So when I get with my daughter today, I'm going to be thinking to myself, like, at one point in time, my kids really, really looked up to me. And I was also, I'm a nice guy, and I'm not trying to put myself up or put myself down or anything. I'm just here. I'm one or the other, and whatever people want me to be, that's what I am to them. I am absolute love at all times. And it's just how I am. Like, there's nothing that can change that now, and I really don't want anything to change it. And I'm happy about that, and there's no but. To continue on with this statement, like when I'm with Brianna today, I sort of want to be like, years ago you guys were like, my daddy's the greatest, my daddy's the greatest, he's the best, because I was in the game, I was playing like, working this job, I was trying to hard when I saw my kids, we'd play and we'd watch a movie, we'd play video games, we'd roll around, and I was sucked into the UFC and the wrestling, and the thing is, like, those things are all fine, I can watch them, but I can also understand that those are actors playing roles, and we believe it. And in life, people just don't seem to understand that they're convincing themselves that they're the role they're playing. And it's sort of sad, but at the same time, if you explain that to them, they're like, yeah, sure, and they go right back to playing the role, right back to playing it. I mean, you have to sort of with your family, because you were born from that. You came from those bodies, you came from those people, they helped you grow. You should. In a way, you sort of almost know that. If they're rude to you and mean to you, then yes, you have a reason not to. But if you just decide to go up on your own because they're boring, you sort of owe them a little bit. But at the same time, it's the world. You can do whatever you want. That's your karma. Like, your karma is exactly what you're doing. It's not what comes from it. It's exactly what you're doing. Because it's going to come back from it eventually. That's just cause and effect. That's not karma. Karma is just your action you're doing. If you did it, you're going to get it. But it's not because of you doing it. And it's coming back to you. Because when you die, you want to understand why you did it. You want to understand your perspective from that other person that you really are. Like, since I am you and you are me, if I hurt your feelings, you want to go back and see how I hurt my feelings. You have to live my whole life to do that. So what we're doing is we're living infinite lives over and over and over and over and over again. And the more we're having more kids, the more we're spreading out that energy and teaching more stuff and making it harder to help people understand what's really going on. So what we need to do is stop having kids sold for a while, or at least once, like, make sure that you're really planning it and you really have love for that kid and you're going to raise it right. When you have kids, if you're just knocking up some chick at a fucking frat party, or you're a drunk 16-year-old fucking a teacher or some shit like that, it's ridiculously sad that people think that abortion is wrong in those kind of situations. People are going to make mistakes, yes. People need to learn how not to make mistakes, yes. But once they make one, let's not make it happen. Let's not be people who have 7 abortions. Let's say 1, maybe 2 if it was an accident. The first one is excused. But it's because actually by having abortions, you can help other people not have to go through horrible lives and be killed try to go through everyday life and remember that man, the bright guy, dad, son, like, I know that stuff is simple, of course. But because I'm all those things and I have the universal consciousness at most times now, I have a very difficult time at certain occasions, like being able to have a regular conversation. So when I pick up Rihanna, I want to be like, you guys used to think I was cool when you guys were younger, but now that I'm actually the embodied chosen one, the messenger of God, maybe not the exact God itself, because that can't happen. It's even above and beyond, because it's operating in everything and everyone else. But I have a straight pathway of communication to him, and I have the answers for anybody who needs help, but nobody wants to listen because they would think that a person saying that is conceited. So when I talk to my kids and I tell them I can help you in any ways you want, we can make these things happen. It's time, space, continuum. Just don't make things poof. God doesn't make things poof until you learn how to do it in your own way as God in human form. You can do it, but God doesn't just make it happen for you. Things do happen as miracles, but somehow I can explain miracles. Usually that has something to do with a weird, you didn't even know you went into the future, figured out how to do it, came back and did it. That's usually what a miracle, unexplained miracle is. Most people don't understand that, but they just know that something weird happened. They felt something. Anyway, when I'm with Brianna today, I almost want to bring up that question because I love them so much. And I just can't stand not feeling back that energy that I used to have, that I used to get from them when they were younger. But they loved me for the wrong reasons when they were younger. And now they're getting older, and they're getting disillusioned by their friends and people around them. They're not loving me for the wrong reasons. But they still love me. But it's like a policy. You just love your parents. Because you're my dad. My dad's pretty cool. He's not a dick. So, my dad, cool. It's like a policy. I don't want it to be that way. I want it to be because they really love me. And if they don't, they don't. And that's fine too. That's the whole thing about it. Like, it matters, but it doesn't matter. I love them anyway. I love them for who they are, what they are, and how they act. No matter how, towards me or anyone. So, anyway, I just wanted to get that stuff down and talk the whole time. So I'm at my next stop. Peace.